And the Education Minister will speak about cell phones in classrooms today, months after asking for feedback from parents, teachers, and staff. And more schools in Canada and around the world are banning devices from classrooms. We're learning more about the impact those phones and other devices can have on brain development. We welcome child psychologist Tania Johnson and Tammy Schamuhn to the show once again. Nice to see you.
Yes, nice to see you.
Thank you. Yeah.
So this is a perfect timing because the education is going to be talking about this a little bit later. But Tammy, what do we know about brain development and its link to these devices in kids?
Okay. It's not great news.
Okay.
So to prep you for that. So we're going to look at kind of really quickly 4 pillars that we look at how it negatively affects kids' brain development. And the first is addiction. That cell phones, screens are highly, highly addictive thanks to a neurotransmitter called dopamine, which is all about motivation. So it floods kids' brains with dopamine, and dopamine feels really good when we get lots of it. So the rest of the world seems really boring, and these devices get kids hooked. Same neurotransmitter involved in addictions to drugs, alcohol, pornography, those sorts of things.
Okay.
Brains look really similar. The next thing would be attention fragmentation, that we know screens are related to killing the white matter in the brain, which are like the telephone wires of the brain. So it really impacts children's ability to focus. We see a lot of ADHD-like symptoms in kids, issues with memory is forming, ability to pay attention in class. We see kids not being able to focus on reading, writing, not developing appropriate social cues, which is kind of the next piece, is that when kids are on devices, we see issues with not doing things they're supposed to be doing.
Right.
Like playing with their friends, getting outside, riding a bike. So we see almost sensory deprivation and social cue deprivation. So kids struggle socially as a result of this. So they're not doing the things they're supposed to be doing. And kind of the last piece that we see is sleep deprivation.
Okay.
So that when we mess with kids' circadian rhythms, they can't focus, they're more moody. We see a lot elevated levels of mental health illness with these kids. And so they're having a hard time in school. And so we think of it as being like, we see issues with the brain developing in terms of attention, and then we see ADHD-like symptoms, and premature aging of the brain is another big one that's coming to the forefront. But it's actually killing their brain in terms of making, looking like vascular dementia.
Sure.
Yeah.
That is tough. That is tough to hear. And for parents who are at home right now sending their kids off to school, knowing that Tanya's summer break is coming, parents are busy in summertime, kids want these devices, have used them educationally, but for entertainment as well. What advice do you have for parents who are going to be busy over the summer but have kids home from school?
Yeah, I'd highly recommend that parents reverse engineer the summer. So ask yourself, by the end of summer, what's going to have made this an absolutely fabulous summer? And write it down so it's concrete. Tech consumption impacts how we feel about our summer. So just 5 quick tips when it comes to tech is 1, as a family, sit down and figure out, what are we doing with tech? What are the rules? What are the limits? Make them simple, quick, and post it somewhere so that we can all remember, this is what we agreed to when it comes to tech. Secondly, in terms of meal times, make sure that screens are off during all meal times. Meal times are an absolute gem for connection. 3, as Tammy was saying, was sleep. Halfway through the summer, we start to see that kids are really struggling with emotional and social issues, and it's because of sleep. So we want to make sure that those screens are not replacing sleep time. We also want to make sure that all devices are out of bedrooms. The 4th one is that very often parents obsess about how many minutes per day a kid should be on a screen. And yes, it's important, but really we should be shifting our focus to content. We want our kids engaging in high quality, engaging content. A fabulous website to check out media rankings is Common Sense Media.
Okay.
And the 5th thing, kind of what Tammy was saying there, is, I think so often parents feel powerless against tech swallowing up their child's summer. I want parents to remember that they have agency, and as a community, we have power. All it takes is one family saying to another family, let's get kids outside, scraping their knees, getting dirty, because that's where the magic of summerhood lies.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for both being here to talk us through what can be stressful and scary for parents. We really appreciate it. There is a lot more that you can learn. You can find podcasts, resources, and their parenting handbook. All of that is on their website, instituteofchildpsychology.com.